the second segment, which is going to be talking about the Boston Celtics and their recent Game 1 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Excuse me. But, so, the game started out really competitive. Like, the game started out very, very competitive to start. Like, they both played very well. They were, like, firing at each other. And there was only, like, a 6-point difference between the Celtics and the Cavs in the first quarter. And Boston scored 40 points in that first quarter, and the Celtics scored, 34. Then, after that first quarter, the game and the scoring slowed to a halt. The Celtics in the second quarter, they scored 19 points. So, barely even half of what they scored in the first. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers ended up scoring 15, which was, again, which is actually like more than half of what they scored in the first quarter. But still, going from a very, very high scoring first quarter, 40 points, to going to 19 points is a ridiculous fall off. And the fact that the Cavs fell off at that same time, that was their window of opportunity to sort of make the game a little bit more competitive. And that was their window of opportunity to make the game even. Because the final score of this game was 120-95. And what happened in the second half, well, particularly what happened in the fourth quarter, was the biggest difference maker. And that's really where the flip switched. So the third quarter, the Cavs, they ended up scoring 33 the Celtics ended up scoring 33, and then the Cavs ended up scoring 28. But then that fourth quarter, Celtics scored 28 in the fourth, and then the Cavs scored 18 in the fourth. So if they would have taken advantage for Boston's lack of offense in the second quarter, maybe this would have played out a little bit differently. But the way that the Celtics have been playing this year, and the way that this has gone, and like the way that it's been in the postseason, they really know how to handle things when like the going gets tough. And like eventually they're going to go on that run. And if you want to keep yourself in competition with them, and if you want to make sure that you're not going to have to be playing catch up, you're going to have to be the one that takes advantage of lackluster performances like that second quarter where they only scored 19 points. And because this Celtics team is loaded with talent, just absolutely loaded with talent in the entire starting lineup. And just going over the box scores of this game, Drew Holiday, he ended the game with 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Jason Tatum, he ended the game with 18 points and 11 rebounds and 5 assists. Jaylen Brown ended the game with 32 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. And Derek White ended the game with 25 points and 5 assists. Now, Porzingis has yet to return from his injury, but that does not mean that the team doesn't have a competent center in their rotations. Al Horford, who has been a longtime Celtic and has been arguably one of the most critical role players for this Celtics team, it's really it's honestly a blessing to have somebody like Al Horford to be able to come in and replace Kristaps when it's looking all dreary. Because while he is rather old compared to Kristaps, he still is rather competent at defending. Rather competent. And he's also a very competent corner shooter, which is really what the Celtics value. Their spacing as well on the offensive side of the court. They shoot a lot of three-pointers, remember that. And speaking of a lot of three-pointers, in this game, they took 46 of them. So they shot very well from the field. So 32 points from Jaylen Brown, as I mentioned. He shot 12 of 18 from the field. Jason Tatum was 7 for 19 from the field. So, all the Boston fans are talking about Jason Tatum this, Jason Tatum that. So far, this team has sort of been playing more like a team than Jason Tatum's team. I can't even tell whose team this is at this point. It could be Derek White's team for all we know. It could be Jaylen Brown's team for all we know. These guys are good. And the fact that Jason Tatum hasn't been getting talked about in the postseason for how bad he's been playing, wonder how that's going to change. I'm not going to talk down on him because I don't want to do that, but given how a lot of people, I feel like Jason Tatum is arguably one of the more overrated superstars in this league, because other than constantly going to the Western Conference Finals, he hasn't done anything. Like, he hasn't won anything important in the league. And obviously he's still a great player and he's still one of the best forwards that the NBA has. But in terms of like accomplishments and things of that nature, I don't think he's done enough to sort of gain the credit that a lot of people have started to give him. And the reason, and like, I understand, like, making Eastern Conference Finals appearances all the time is no joke. I'm not trying to like diminish that whatsoever. But he does have a very, very competent team every single time he's gone to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's not like he's just carrying the team all the way there. The team is holding up their own end of the bargain, and he's just playing well while they're doing it. And he's always had a good team with the Boston Celtics. So the fact that he's always been on a good team sort of like skews the entire narrative of like, oh, it's Jason Tatum's team and things of that nature, making it seem like Tatum is the sole reason why this Boston Celtics team is so successful and has been successful for a couple of years. I mean, if you want to call it successful. Granted, they haven't won an NBA championship yet since 2008, and with these Celtics teams that they've had, they've been selected to be the favorites multiple times. This is their best team that they've had with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in a while. Well, not in a while, like I think ever. And if they don't make it to the finals and if they don't win the finals, it's going to be another huge disappointment for the Celtics team. Just going to throw that out there. So now for the Cavs, and on the Cavaliers side, Donovan Mitchell, he ended the game with 33 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Evan Mobley, he ended the game with 17 points and 13 rebounds. Darius Garland, he only ended with 14 points in this game, and that was basically it in terms of scoring for the Cavs. And the team shot 11 for 42 from 3, which was 26%. They shot worse than the Celtics from 3, and while taking nearly as many threes. And obviously, like, you're not going to win basketball. Like, you're not going to win against the Celtics if you're not playing as efficiently and as perfectly as you possibly can. And the rest of the players on the Cavs, they also shot very poorly. I mean, Okoro shot 4 for 11 points. Max Strus shot 2 for 8, 5 points. Karis LeVert went 2 for 6, 4 points. Niang, 0 for 2. And let's see, who else on those ones? Sam Merrill, 0 for 5. Marcus Morris, 1 for 3. They all shot rather poorly, and it was really, really unfortunate for the Cavs that they couldn't end up winning in this game. And it was really never close. Like, honestly, it was just never close. So I don't really think there's much that needs to be talked about this game, and I'm going to go into a break a little bit early because there are some people that need to sort of use this podcast room for their own reasons, which are like pictures. So unfortunately, I am going to have to go into a break right now just to allow them to sort of take the pictures and like allow them to do what it is that they need to do and get out of the room. And then I'll be able to continue with the third segment, which is going to be talking about Austin Rivers and his comments directed towards, or his comments about NBA players being able to play in the NFL. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that, and J.J. Watt's response to that, because J.J. Watt tweeted a response that I think is worth listening to. So I will be right back after this short break.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.